Some sad and shocking news from the world of soccer today is great England international Trevor Francis has passed away. Trevor Francis may not be like a major name to a lot of the soccer fans, but he was huge in England. He was a forward for teams in England, US, Italy, Scotland, and Australia. But the biggest news about Trevor Francis was that he was the first £1 million, that's the British currency, player. He was transferred from Birmingham to Nottingham Forest. He started off life, well, he was born April 1954 in Plymouth and was educated. Enjoyed Birmingham City, rising up to be part of their first team or their leading lineup at age 16. He scored 4 goals in one match just before his 17th birthday against Bolton, scoring 15 goals in 22 games. Trevor Francis scored a famous goal for Birmingham against Queen's Park Rangers October 1976 when he turned away from the touchline and got past 2 defenders and somehow unleashed a 25-yard shot that the goalie didn't see. All that. He actually went to the North American Soccer League on loan from Birmingham to play for Detroit in the North American Soccer League, which is strange. I didn't know Detroit had a team in there. Putting up 22 goals in 19 games and was part of the All-Star team. But then he went back to Birmingham, but Nottingham Forest, who were the 1978 First Division champions, the top division champs in England, and winners of the English League Cup, put in a bid for Francis for £1 million, which was startling because no player in England ever did that. It was huge and all that. The record was actually less than half of that, for less than half a million. It was shocking and all that. Trevor Francis was ridiculed for being the £1 million player and would actually be getting a lot of things and all that. But, strange as it sounds, Trevor Francis didn't really play much because he was ineligible to play for the League Cup because of him playing already for Birmingham that year in the League Cup things. And like the FA Cup, if you play for a different squad and all that, you're ineligible for your second team. Trevor Francis was actually eligible when Nottingham Forest went to the European Cup, or Champions League finals, it's now known as, final against Malmo in Munich. Francis put up a gigantic header. Nottingham Forest won the match 1-0 and was the European champions, not just the British champions, the European champions. So Nottingham Forest is all that. A giant picture of Francis stooping to head the ball is on display at Nottingham Forest's stadium. Francis would head back to Detroit to play in the North American Soccer League for a little bit. Unfortunately, a massive injury to his Achilles tendon cost Francis a chance to play in the 1980 European Cup final against Hamburg. Fortunately, though, Forest did win the game. He would only put up 20 league goals for Nottingham Forest, and people ridiculed him for not being worth £1 million. And of course, his Achilles injury prevented him from playing in the 1980 European Championships. Francis was sold to Man City in 1981 for £1.2 million. It was just unusual and all that. Francis actually made a promising start, scoring 2 goals on his debut against Stoke. Unfortunately, though, he would be frequently injured. Fortunately, though, he did make the squad in 1982 for the World Cup. And then he was actually sent away to Sampdoria in Italy. Fortunately, though, he helped Sampdoria win the 1985 Coppa Italia alongside Graham Souness. He would join Atalanta in Italy, getting to the Coppa Italia final, but lost to Napoli. Then he went to Rangers in Scotland and all that. Francis only cost £75,000 for Rangers, and it worked. They won the League Cup. Francis would play for QPR, and then played for Sheffield Wednesday, helping Sheffield Wednesday win the League Cup and get to the top flight. Francis would play for England for 52 matches, scoring 12 goals. Francis put up a pair of goals against the Czechs and Kuwaitis in the first round of the 1982 World Cup. Unfortunately, because England fumbled, losing it, England were knocked out of the 82 World Cup thanks to their 2 scoreless ties with Spain and Germany. He was not selected for the 86 World Cup in Mexico. Well, he actually became a manager. His managerial jobs were with QPR as player manager for almost a year, going 15, 16, and 17. 15 wins, 16 losses, 17 ties. Then for Sheffield from 91 to 95, winning 89 games out of 216. Birmingham City from 96 to 2001, winning 139 out of 290 games. And Crystal Palace with a 35% winning percentage. So Francis helped Nottingham Forest get to 2 European Cups and won 2 European Cup trophies, which is very good. And all that. The Coppa Italia with Sampdoria in 1985, the Scottish League Cup of Rangers in 88, the Football League Cup of Sheffield Wednesday in 91. And as a manager, not winning any major awards, but they almost won the 93 FA Cup and League Cup. Both times they lost in the final, and they lost the League Cup in 01 with Birmingham. But still, Trevor Francis picked up pretty good stuff. He married his wife Helen, having 2 children, but she died in 2017. Francis was recovering in hospital from a suspected heart attack, but unfortunately another heart attack has claimed Trevor Francis